Hey there, folks. How are ya? It's Thursday. It's that time of the week already. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the podcast. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, recording here at NGC Studios here in South Florida, and I want to thank you so very much for joining me. Whenever you're listening to this in the past, present, future hour. And, yeah, folks, I know. What the hell? To, podcast in less than 24 hours. It's amazing. It's amazing, as Jesse Lee Peterson would say. Not Jordan Peterson, but Jesse Lee Peterson, the black guy. MAGA guy. Very cool dude, folks. Very cool. Not as cool as Kanye, okay? But, quite frankly, Kanye is the best. So, speaking of, I guess Kanye is releasing a new album. But I don't really give a shit about, Kanye releasing a new album. What I want to know is, when is he going to go on Joe Rogan? We were promised that, either at the beginning of the year this year, back in January, or at the very end of last year, I think, is when he announced it. And, we haven't heard anything. Granted, it took Tool 13 years to release a new album, so, but, for the love of God, Kanye, please don't, wait that long to go on Joe's podcast. Because, who knows, the way, this PC culture is going and the way YouTube is going, Joe might be banned off, YouTube before he gets the chance to interview you. But who knows at this point, folks? Anything could go wrong. Or we could end up, somehow turning things around, for the better and, defeating the PC culture war. I think we are winning in a way. I think we are. I'm not being completely sarcastic. I actually think that, more and more regular people are starting podcasts and, getting involved. They're not all conservative, but a lot of them are anti, SJW, anti, just craziness. Again, plug for my friend Robbie Robertson. He does the Out of Lane podcast. It's not political at all, really, but he's having conversations with people. That is one of the most dangerous things that you can do in 2019, woke, America and, woke world, I guess. That dude does some crazy, he does crazy podcasts with everyone, regardless of who they are. He's awesome. But, anyway, so, yeah, and, I've met some great people through different subreddits and stuff like that. And, yeah, I mean, things are just going good. So I am partially optimistic, about the future. But at the same time, we still have way too many clowns, running things for my liking. Speaking of, it looks like the impeachment gate, we talked about that a little bit last week, and I was a little concerned at the time, that, the Ukraine thing could actually turn out to be something. And, quite frankly, folks, this is President Donald Trump, and quite frankly, Savage Sam was overreacting a little bit, as he tends to do, because, Sam loves me, honestly, and, quite frankly, he was just a little concerned, but we're good. No, but in all seriousness, like I said last week, folks, and I'm still going to go on, about this a little bit. I'm glad that, for right now, the Ukraine thing really isn't, it's still like in the early stages. It's not maybe as bad as we thought, but the Dems are still gonna, hammer home. Like, that's not gonna change. They're still gonna, try their damnedest to impeach him. That's definitely going to happen. That they couldn't get Russiagate to be a thing. They tried. They spent, 2.5, nearly 3 years to try and make Russiagate a thing, and it wasn't a thing. So now they're trying to go after this phone call, which granted isn't completely innocuous. I mean, there was stuff in there from what I read in the transcript that's kind of like, But I mean, then at the same time, I mean, I was, it's funny that I posted the Ben Shapiro interview yesterday because I actually went back and listened to that interview, and at the time, Benghazi was happening, and everyone thought that would be a big scandal that, would impeach Obama, and nothing happened. Now, you mean to tell me that Benghazi is somehow worse than, than Trump just talking to a guy, in Ukraine? I mean, I'm just, kind of playing devil's advocate here. If nothing happened to Hillary because of Benghazi, then, nothing should happen to Trump because of Ukraine. I'm just using the left's own logic at this point. It's a nothing burger. But, they'll try and hammer it home. And I don't think it's going to work. And then Bernie Sanders, aka the Larry David spinoff, which, by the way, I don't mean that as like an insult to either Bernie or to Larry David, who I love. I've been going back and rewatching some old Seinfeld episodes, and also rewatching some of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it's clear, how Larry David's writing style, influenced both of those shows. But, anyway, Bernie Sanders, don't like him, but, I don't want him to have a, heart attack. I wish him a speedy recovery. At the very least, he gives, me entertainment, so, I hope he sticks around for that. But, with all that being said, I guess Hillary, who is I can't say all the things that I'd like to about Hillary. Even on my own podcast, which is pretty uncensored, I feel like what I would have to say about Hillary would, get, like, it would even make some of the, edgy boys a bit, it would make even the edgy boys panic a little bit and a little nervous. But, that, as I've said before, and just to kind of put it mildly, that woman is pure evil. I've said it before, and, that was basically the entire reason I voted for Trump. It wasn't because I thought Trump was such a great candidate. When he first started out, I'm embarrassed to admit this, I was a little Marco guy. I was for, Marco Rubio. Yeah, I know, sad, low energy, I got it. I came on the Trump train, folks, and thank God I did. But I was anti-Hillary back in 2016 and, 2015. Hell, in 2015, I wrote an entire, blog post about that, which you can still find over on my blog at thesamwhitfield.com, and it's on my Medium page as well, if anyone still goes on Medium. I might actually link that in the show notes for this podcast. Maybe not, though. I don't know. It's out there if you guys want to read it. I'll maybe retweet it. But yeah, So I guess Hillary's thinking of coming back on the scene. And I have mixed emotions about it, honestly. Because on the one hand, like, for the love of God and all that is holy, Hillary, can you just fucking, go away and retire like every other boomer politician out there? Trump being the exception, of course, but I mean, my God, that woman, she's been in politics like longer than I think even like my parents were still. I think both my parents were still in high school themselves when she started out in politics. At the very least, my parents were like around my age in college when Hillary Clinton started in politics, so that's a long time. My parents are nearly in their 60s, but I it just doesn't make sense though. I mean, I guess in a way it does. Hillary's desperate for power, but I mean for all that is good and holy, folks, the Dems must either be like, sadomasochists, or they must be dumb to want, Hillary to be the candidate again, for 2020. Because as she's shown twice now, first losing to Obama in the 2008 primary and then losing again, in the presidential race to Trump, you would think that she might, get the message that she's not wanted by the American people anymore in politics, and yet she persists. But it's not like a rocky persistence. It's not like an underdog, gonna fly now. It's not that type of persistence. It's Hillary's like the annoying mosquito that that you try swatting away or you smack and you think you've gotten it, but then it just keeps like popping up and annoying you. And Florida people know what I'm talking about. So yeah, she's one of those, or she's like one of those palmetto bugs. Like one of those. Well, actually, palmetto bugs aren't nasty. They look like cockroaches, but they're not. Hillary is a full-on cockroach. They all are. And so, why would the Dems, here's my question, why would the Dem party, why would the Democrats like seriously say, you know what, we want Hillary Clinton to run again in 2020 because that worked so well? They must be, I mean, if they're all serious about her, they must be dumber than we thought, but and really not have a brain now. Trump's first, victory might have melted the brain so much that, they don't even know how to confront him now. It's just, it's weird. Or, she might just want her ass kicked again. I mean, that her marriage to Bill Clinton, at this point, it would seem to anyone sane and it would seem to anyone who has any sort of, sanity and common sense, that, the only reason why Hillary is married to Bill now at this point is for political power and political clout. Because no one, like everyone, even the Zoomers who weren't, born in the 90s yet. Everyone knows about Lewinsky Gate now, and, Bill's egregious, stupid, sex parties and whatnot. Like, those are famous now. And so, and obviously the, Lewinsky Gate thing is big. So, obviously, folks, the only reason why Hillary stayed in that marriage, what I've always said for years, is that it was for strictly political purposes, right? You have to know that that's the case. How can it not be at this point? And yeah, I am being serious, and I've brought the microphone a little bit closer just to punctuate that. So yeah, I mean, I'm of two minds. On the one hand, I think the Democrats, running Hillary would be just like, it would be 2016 all over again for her and for, us, in both the good and the bad ways. So, part of me is like, please, for the love of God, Hillary, listen to your side and do and do not run. Nobody wants you. Not even Democrats I know like her. But on the other hand, I'm like, please run so that we can convert even more, Democrats who hate your guts over, to Trump, to Trump conservatives and libertarian light people. We need more people like those. And so, maybe Hillary, rearing her ugly head will piss enough people off that they, move into more conservative districts and whatnot. I don't know. But I just find it annoying somewhat that she's even considering coming back. Given everything that's gone on. So yeah, what else is on the docket? I didn't have a lot of planned for this Thursday's show. Great feedback so far on the Ben Shapiro interview, by the way, and I really appreciate that. It's only been up for 24 hours, and I think it already has 18 or 20 plays on Anchor. That's not bad. Plus there, are all those podcatchers out there who, don't, there are those podcast catchers out there and that, register their own numbers but don't share with Anchor. So, we're getting a lot of views and listens, and it's great. As I said, I really enjoyed, looking back through the Whitfield Analysis archives and, listening to that Ben Shapiro interview. It was really cool to do that again, honestly. So, yeah, I don't really have much else for you here tonight, other than I guess my message would be good luck to the Dems if they continue to want to bully Bernie and put Hillary in as the ascending nominee, because everyone hates her guts, even the Dems. But, yeah, folks, that'll that'll just about do it for the Thursday show. I'll tell you what, it's been one heck of a week, and maybe it's the time change, but I mean, I know we've been off daylight savings for a few weeks now, but man, it always messes with me a little bit, and I don't quite know why either. But it's been really hot out there during the day, and unusually hot for September, like even in Florida. And it's getting dark early now. I don't like it, not one bit. A couple quick things before I head out for the early Thursday edition, I guess is what we're calling this. On Saturday evening, I will be live streaming the Whitfield Report at 5 p.m. Eastern instead of 10 p.m. Eastern. The reason being is because I've recently made contact with another fellow conservative content creator named Jimmy, who's in the UK, and Jimmy and I are both part of the Gavin McGinnis subreddit, and he's around the same age as I am, and we hit it off like a couple weeks ago, and we've kind of become friends already. Like, he's not just into Gavin, but he's also into the same music and, movies and stuff like that, so we've hit it off. And he's kind of the British version of me, I would say. So he's going to go on the show on Saturday. He's got a great YouTube channel. Doesn't do podcasting yet, but who knows? He could be doing that soon. But he'll be doing the Saturday show with me, so we're going to do that at 5 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/The Whitfield Report on Saturday. And, that'll be 10 p.m. England time, I guess. And, it should be fun. So by the time lots of you will have heard this, I will have made the announcement video already on YouTube. So have no fear, folks. That is coming. But anyway, from all of us here, real quick, one last thing. It's a good thing I do keep notes here. Thursday is obviously the Atlanta podcast, so you know what that means. It's time for, what music I'm listening to this week. And, for this week's music pick, I'm listening to, I'm listening to Tool a lot. I have to admit, I've still been on the Tool kick for like the last month. Ever since I discovered them like back in August, I've kind of become an obsessive fan. Like, I haven't gone and seen them, but I love their albums, man. As like a prog rock fan, they're great. And like, I'm not really like a metal fan, really, but those guys are just, kicking ass. In terms of what else I've been listening to, though, this week, I listened to the new John Coltrane album that came out last Friday, and that's amazing. If you're a jazz fan, I highly recommend that you pick that one up. Blue World, as always, is great. And then been listening to a lot of The Clash this week, too, which Jimmy and I will be discussing all things like music related and pop culture. It'll be like one of my usual JRE style interviews. Kind of like that, very very casually. I was listening to Mark Knopfler this week, and I've been listening to podcasts as usual. I after this podcast, I'm probably going to go stretch out on the couch, maybe crack a beer, and listen to the Joe Rogan interview with Roseanne Barr, or maybe I'll put it up on YouTube and watch it on the big screen for once. I've been listening to the Sober October podcast, and I know that some people find those annoying, with Bert and Ari and, Tom and Joe. But honestly, those podcasts are great because that would be like me and my friends just getting together and, bullshitting for 3 hours on a podcast. Like, my best friends doing that. So that's awesome. And, like, I don't know if they actually even challenge that. Like, so far, where I'm at in the podcast, they're just talking about tour buses. But, that's been a good podcast to listen to this week. I've been catching up on my friend Ray's podcast on the Empire. Same thing with, out of the blank again, plugging two of my, friends' podcasts there. And, of course, On Tap comes out every Friday. So thanks to Jason and Tate for keeping me entertained in the comic book and pop culture field. And then I was listening to Mark Knopfler a bit this morning. Love Mark Knopfler. Love Dire Straits. Alchemy, the first Dire Straits live album, has to be one of the best live albums ever made. On the Night, which is their second live album, is pretty good too. But Alchemy came out in the early 80s, and it is top notch. Like, especially the first track, the Alchemy version of Once Upon a Time in the West. My God, that is like a great blues, British, kind of bluegrassy, but also really kick-ass, jam rock. That Mark Knopfler and Dire Straits was just known for. It's awesome. So Jimmy and I are going to be talking about all of that and more. We're just going to be shooting the shit like I usually like to do with my guests. If there's anything that I've picked up from Joe Rogan, and I talked about this with Jason and Tate when they came on, it's just that sometimes the natural conversations are the best. So I've been doing that with my podcast over the last few years, and I think I've produced some pretty good interviews as a result of that. But anyway, folks, that'll do it. I realize I kind of phoned in this podcast, but it's Thursday. It's kind of been like a longish week with school and everything. I've still got some projects I've got to finish up tomorrow before the weekend, but hey, I'll get those done because I'm a savage and you guys are savages. And to all of you who have been subscribing to the YouTube channel and to the podcast, I really appreciate that. Just the fact that you guys are out there subscribing and supporting and leaving good ratings and reviews, that really helps a lot. And some of you have asked about donations, and obviously that's appreciated as well, but just spreading the word and making sure that this podcast continually gets shared and telling a friend and a family member about the podcast, that's really what makes the big difference here, folks. And I really, really appreciate it, and I really, really appreciate all you badass savages. So from all of us here at NGC Studios, God bless, God save this great nation, God freedom, legacy in that order, and I'll see you on Saturday evening, 5 p.m. for the Whitfield Report with my friend Jimmy the Brit, Hodgem on YouTube. And go check the YouTube channel for the promo later. I'll have that up. as well. So anyway, folks, God bless, God, freedom, legacy in that order, and I'll see you Saturday.